Football is a beautiful thing. It's the gift that keeps on giving. So much stuff has been going on in the world of the National Football League, particularly as it pertains to free agency in the NFL. That's just one topic to get into. The other would be my man, Ryan Clark, NFL analyst extraordinaire, former Super Bowl champion, host of the Pivot podcast, and then some. I'd love to tell you I'm about to talk to the brother on camera, but I don't have to. He's in the studio. It's a lot to talk about. Stephen A. Smith Show. Let's go. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the latest edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, coming at you as I love to do at the very least 3 times a week over the digital airwaves of YouTube. I'm finally back after being all over the damn country, for crying out loud. I'm finally back in my new studios, right? This is where I love to be most. By the way, appreciate all the love and support that's been coming my way. We continue to climb and have exceeded over 583,000 subscribers. Can't thank y'all enough for the love that you have been showing me. Keep it coming. And as I always tell you, I'm going to keep on coming. To continue to like and follow the Stephen A. Smith Show right here on YouTube, just click the bell to get notified of all of our new content. And you, too, will be the latest member of the family. And while you're doing that, please don't forget to pick up a copy of my New York Times best-selling book, Straight Shooter, a memoir of second chances and first takes. Now, in paperback, just go to straightshooterbook.com to get yourself a copy. Since I am here in studio, remember, I'll always be taking your calls to end the show, so hit me up for some advice at 888-727-5303. That's 888-SAS-5303. This is the Wednesday edition of the Stephen A. Smith Show, so let's not waste any more time, because the NFL team certainly did it when it came to major free agent signings. And the running back market was hot, y'all. Take a look at the list of names who signed in the last few days. Just look at it right here. I mean, you see it. Saquon Barkley with the Philadelphia Eagles, 3 years, $37.75 million. Josh Jacobs, $48 million over 4 years with the Green Bay Packers. Tony Pollard, he's got his deal at $24 million over 3 years, okay? So we can't forget about that. Austin Eckler, formerly of the Los Angeles Chargers, now with the Washington Commanders, $11 million over 2 years. DeAndre Swift, $24 million over 3 years. And, of course, Devin Singletary, $16.5 million over 3 years. Let me tell you what the problem is here, right now, okay? The Baltimore Ravens ended up getting Derrick Henry. That's a beautiful thing. How the hell did the Dallas Cowboys not get him? Tony Pollard wasn't a bell cow every down back to begin with, but you lose him, what do you have to replace him? Deuce Vaughn, I mean, what do you think that's going to get you? You're the Dallas Cowboys. You desperately needed somebody like Derrick Henry. You don't have him. That's why you ain't going to win a damn thing. Saquon Barkley with the Philadelphia Eagles, they already are the favorites in the NFC East, possibly the favorites in the NFC, period. We got to look at it from that perspective. When we turn around and then we look at Derrick Henry joining the Baltimore Ravens, 2 years, $16 million, has led the league in rushing attempts for the last 5 seasons, okay? This is who Derrick Henry is. Remember that. Led the NFL in rushing in 2019 and 2020. When he was named the league's Offensive Player of the Year, he's big time. And when you think about pairing him with Lamar Jackson, Zay Flowers and the crew, and then you look at Baltimore's defense, I'm not going to say they automatically are going to be Kansas City, because Patrick Mahomes is a different beast. What I'm going to say to you, however, is that, damn, times have changed in Baltimore. You Cincinnati, you should be worried. You the Pittsburgh Steelers, you should be worried. You the Cleveland Browns, you should be worried. Same goes for Miami. Same goes for Buffalo. Running games, running attacks are things that you can take on the road with you. Let's remember that, okay? Baltimore Ravens. I might have them as my favorites to come out of the AFC, because I ain't seen Patrick Mahomes get another receiver. Ain't no star wide receiver show up in Kansas City that I remember over the last couple of weeks. I haven't seen that. So I'm going to roll with Baltimore for now, but we'll touch on that subject a little bit later. Before I get to my next subject, before I move on to the next topic, I need to make sure you all know that the NBA playoffs are just around the corner. And I don't know about you all, but I need to be a part of that action. So how do I do that? I use Prize Picks, that's how. The largest fantasy sports platform in all the land with more than 3 million members. It's not only super exciting, but incredibly easy to play, and takes only 60 seconds to make your picks. All you do is select 2 or more players from the NBA, the WNBA, MLB, and then choose more or less on their in-game stats, which means every assist, basket, or hit will turn the big game's energy into cash, all right? So if I know that Jokic is grabbing 10 rebounds tonight and Jamal Murray is hitting 4 threes, I need to pick that and play for a chance to be rolling in some big-time money. So go to prizepicks.com and use promo code SAS for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's right. Go to prizepicks.com, tap in my initials SAS for a first-time deposit match of up to $100. That's code SAS when you go to prizepicks.com. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Let's get to another NFL topic, back to the NFL, because there's some headlines taking place that's now crossed into the world of politics. Are you ready for this? That bad man, Aaron Rodgers, quarterback for the New York Jets, formerly of the Green Bay Packers, is on Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s shortlist for running mate this year. RFK Jr., who would be running as an independent, of course, confirmed that Rodgers and former Minnesota governor and pro wrestler Jesse the Body Ventura are under consideration as running mates. As for Rodgers, Kennedy says he and Aaron have been talking, quote, pretty continuously, end quote, for the past month. The Times says it's unclear if either Rodgers or Ventura have been formally offered the position, but both have welcomed the overtures. Now, there's no secret that Aaron Rodgers, the four-time NFL MVP and former Super Bowl champion with the Packers, is an ardent supporter of Kennedy. He's also recovering from an opening game Achilles tear with the Jets that cost him the entire season. Rodgers is on track to make his return to New York with a $35 million salary this year. And by the way, the Jets so far had no comment on their report. What the hell can they say? If you're the New York Jets, you should be happy you're getting headlines, because the damn sure ain't for what you do on the football field. So let's get that out the way first. Secondly, before anybody is willing to go off on Aaron Rodgers, because obviously what he has in common with RFK Jr. is that they both were deemed conspiracy theorists, and they both were entirely and diametrically opposed to the COVID vaccine. And that's how they came to know each other, and I get that part. But no matter what you think about what Aaron Rodgers feels or some of the things that he has to say, number one, don't act like the man is stupid and ignorant. He's not. Let's get that out the way. Number two, and more importantly, I think we have to reach this conclusion. We're in no position as a society to say a damn thing to Aaron Rodgers or anybody else. It's none of that shut up and play football. There's none of that shut up and be an athlete. You shouldn't have been doing that to begin with, but you certainly can't do that now. When you have a man in Donald Trump who just secured the Republican GOP nomination. That's what he's done. When he's just done that, and he's got 4 indictments, 91 counts against him, has been impeached twice, is on the verge of being a convicted felon, and still, every time he's in the news for being sued or losing a civil case or another criminal case coming in his direction, the man gets more money. His campaign generates more dollars. Because the world is saying, we don't give a damn what you think. That's our guy. And we're going to ride with him no matter what, even if he gets convicted, even if he's in a zebra suit, even if he's behind bars. His folks, which, by the way, last election spanned over 73 million, said we're going to vote for him anyway. And if you're President Biden, how many people are you going to get to go to the polls to vote for you compared to what they once did? That's the reality that we're living in. So if you want to talk about Aaron Rodgers all you want to, feel free. But you can't dismiss him. Not if he takes it seriously. And RFK Jr., yes, it's a two-party system in our government, right? But guess what? He's running as an independent. He was an environmental lawyer. The dude wrote a book against Anthony Fauci and said some highly incriminating things that normally would get you sued. Nobody has sued him, which gives you an indication that there must be some nuggets of truth to what he wrote. That's who's running for the presidency as an independent. And if nothing else, who knows what they might say to spark comments and dialogues from Trump and Biden. In the end, we might learn more than we ever anticipated. Don't disrespect it. Don't sniff it away. Take it seriously. Take it seriously. Before I move on to my guest that I'm excited to have here in studio with me, I want to make this quick comment about Dak Prescott, because he's in the news, because he's suing a woman who accused him of sexual assault, claiming it was a $100 million extortion plot. Here's all I want to say about Dak Prescott. Damn it, this might be the first time I give you an applause. It damn sure ain't what you did in the playoffs against Green Bay. It's not for your 2-5 playoff record as a Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback over the last 8 years, or your failure to get to an NFC championship game. But in this situation, there's no question. If Dak Prescott is innocent, we should all be standing up and applauding what he's doing here. He's known as being class personified. He's known as being a damn good leader and a damn good person and a good role model. And he gets accused of this from years ago, dating back to, I believe it was 2017. And what he's doing is he's standing up and he's saying, no, I'm not going to sit idly by and let this happen. You want to derail some of these accusations and allegations that have been thrown away? Countersuing is what I would do. If I'm innocent, you damn right I would countersue. And I would try to milk her for all it's worth if I'm innocent and I was falsely accused. That's how you're going to derail some of these allegations from coming out that aren't true. I'm not talking about the ones that are. I'm talking about if you don't think if there's no truth to it, you're supposed to fight to protect your name. And that's what Dak Prescott is doing. That's my take on it, and that's where I'm standing with it. Coming up next, right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show. He is my brother, my Libra brother, my brother at ESPN, beats me down anytime we're talking about the National Football League. So I said, hey, this is the Stephen A. Smith Show. You ain't never been to my studio. You want to come in? He said, sure, sure. I got to get a haircut first, though. That's what he told me. And I'll be damned if he didn't do it. He looks pretty sharp. The one and only Ryan Clark, star of the Pivot podcast and ESPN, along with a host of other things. He's going to be right here up next. Stick around. You're watching the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Back with more in a minute. For that big-time game when AD and Jokic are going up against each other, and I'm looking to find a deal to get courtside seats, there is no question. I'm going right to SeatGeek. And this is why. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app. There are more than 70,000 events on SeatGeek, including concerts, sporting events, festivals, and more. That's why I'm excited to have a ticketing partner that helps the Stephen A. Smith Show listeners find tickets to all the most in-demand games. So you'll never miss your chance to see LeBron, Steph, Giannis, or even Wemby. They put all the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you're getting the best deal on what you want to do and who you want to see. And I'm coming through with a special offer. Use my code SAS10, that's SAS, the number 10, for 10% off tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets on SeatGeek. That's right. Go now and download the SeatGeek app and use my code SAS10 for 10% off to take advantage of this limited time offer. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Welcome back to Stephen A. Smith Show. Before I get on or get back to the NFL with my special guest in studio, I had to touch on this quick NBA topic right here. Kawhi Leonard for the Los Angeles Clippers lost to the Minnesota Timberwolves on Tuesday night after the first quarter. He departed after the first quarter, dealing with back spasms. The 58 games he's played this season are already the most he's ever played in a season since signing with the Clippers back in 2019. During that time, he suffered a torn ACL and a torn meniscus. Here's the deal. I'm not going to hate on Kawhi Leonard today. I still think that he's the worst superstar we've ever seen from the standpoint of not marketing the sport. When he plays, he is a superstar, but marketing the sport is not something that he does. Now, if you look at his list of injuries, the knees, the ankles, the foot, everything, we see it. Back, leg, face, injury management. But damn it, this ain't the year to get on them. The Clippers are a title contender. He's played in 58 games. He's on the verge of playing more than 60 games for the first time since the 2016-2017 season. I'm going to give him love, hoping that he gets back. But I have to confess right here, I can't be dishonest. The Clippers play in LA. If they don't win and the Lakers don't win, my choices are Minnesota, Denver, Oklahoma City. And I mean, I know that Dallas and Phoenix are in the mix, but damn it, I'm not sold on them. So, Kawhi, get it together, brother. Get it together. My personal life is at stake. My personal life is at stake. Let me go to my next guest right here, ladies and gentlemen. My first guest in studio. He is a Super Bowl champion. He is an Emmy award-winning studio analyst who currently serves as host of Inside the NFL. He's my ESPN colleague on First Take, Get Up, Sports Center, NFL Live, and obviously he's a star host of the Pivot Podcast, one of the best podcasts going, period. He also thinks he can outdress me. He was right until today. The one and only Ryan Clark. What's up,
Hey,
man?
I told you that one was clean today. I told you. I was like, today he brought it.
Exactly. We got to get into a couple of things, man. Thank you so much for sitting here with me. But before we do any of that, I want to get into NFL free agency. The biggest stuff you saw in NFL free agency this week, was it Derrick Henry going to Baltimore? Was it Saquon Barkley going to Philadelphia? What stood out?
I think the first start is Kirk Cousins.
Okay.
Right? You know, listen, Kirk Cousins has been like the Darrell Revis of quarterbacks. Mm-hmm. He always gonna get the bag.
That's right, always.
But when Raheem Morris got there, the first thing he mentioned is, I don't have this job if they don't have bad quarterback play.
Right.
And we all thought it was going to be Justin Fields. But right away, Adam Schefter, all the insiders said they wanted Kirk Cousins. They go and make a splash right away. Bijan, Drake London, you look at Kyle Pitts, a defense that can play well. This team should win the NFC South and be a playoff contender. But ain't that when Kirk becomes Kirk?
That's right.
Right? So what did they see in him that says he's going to be the guy to take me to a Super Bowl? Or maybe for Raheem Morris, as a black coach on his second stint, he knows he has to win right away.
Right.
And so it's better to go out and get a dude who could do that for you immediately. I think my other thing is, though, the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
It's not the big moves.
They haven't done anything.
Yeah, it's not the big moves they did, mate. It's what they haven't done. And, you know, I think it's good. I think it's a plot against Southern Steve. You know what I'm saying?
I reckon you're right.
You know,
I reckon you're right.
If they don't build the expectations, you can't be like, just when you need them, that's when they fall.
That's right.
And so I think, to me, those are the two things that stick out more than anything. But obviously, you love Saquon. You also think about Derrick Henry, which I heard you talk about earlier as well.
Well, you look at Saquon in Philadelphia, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and all of that stuff, and then you see him coming in and what kind of pressure he could ultimately take off of Jalen Hurts. Let's not forget about that as well. Do you look at Philadelphia and you put them a step ahead of San Francisco now?
No,
or not?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. One, the first thing is, we've watched San Francisco consistently be in that spot, right? The move that Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts made 2 years ago surprised us all. None of us expected them to be that team, even after adding A.J. Brown. And we saw them fall kind of back down to earth last year without both of those coordinators. So to me, figuring out if Nick Sirianni is the guy to run it without those coordinators is important. And can Jalen Hurts be that same quarterback? And now you bring in Kellen Moore. Stephen A., we talked about Kellen Moore in Dallas.
That's right.
We talked about Kellen Moore in Los Angeles with Justin Herbert.
Right.
Right? And so what is he going to be to that offense? But when you look at that skill set, or those skilled players, group of skilled players, AJ, Devontae, Dallas Goedert, Saquon Barkley, to me the pressure's on Nick. The pressure's on Jalen. Yeah. If those two dudes don't produce with these,
you got to look at
players,
them differently.
It's on them. But also, what are you going to do defensively? Can those young defensive tackles step up? Can you find someone at the linebacker position? They need another corner, but I do love going out and getting C.J. Gardner-Johnson from Detroit and having some of that feel that brought you to the Super Bowl defensively.
Veering away from free agency for just a second, I had Micah Parsons on my podcast during the NBA All-Star Weekend. And we did a long, extensive discussion about his future. Thinking about what Dallas didn't do. We know Dak Prescott's looking for his bag. We know C.D. Lamb's looking for his bag. Micah Parsons is looking, he's eligible to get his bag now as well. Those are three guys that's going to be looking to be paid, one of, if not the highest paid at their respective divisions. When we look at Micah Parsons, how much is he worth? I'm not talking dollar signs per se. I mean, compared to the top guys at his position, where does he rank in your eyes?
So Michael Parsons is in the conversations of the T.J. Watts, the Myles Garretts, the Max Crosbys, right? He's in that conversation, but we didn't see him show up in the playoffs this year. This year he was quiet. And as the season went along too, Stephen A., we sort of watched people be able to game plan around Micah. Dan Quinn wasn't moving him around. He wasn't having opportunities to get mismatched. And so you got to see if Mike Zimmer is going to put him in position to always have the matchup the way that Jim Schwartz did for Myles Garrett this year.
Right.
Because if you do that, when you're looking at Micah Parsons, to me, he's a 20-sack-a-year guy. But he got to show up against the good teams. He got to show up in the big games because that's when you get the money. And I think for him, that's what this year is going to be about. But he's worth everything that all of those other players I've mentioned.
But that's where I was going to you. If you're Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones and you have an opportunity not to wait until next year and you could pay him right now, what do, Ryan Clark, if you're there?
I wait.
You wait.
I wait. Because you got to get CD done and you have to get Dak done. And CD's probably waiting on Justin. Right? Because Justin Jefferson should set the mark for wide receiver. CD's going to say, I need to be paid equal to what he's paid or something extremely close to him. And you got to restructure Dak's deal. You got to give him new money. You got to extend him because that salary cap hit isn't going to allow you to play Micah Parsons. Now, here's what's on the other side of that. What if Micah Parsons says, I am eligible. I've seen CD get paid. I've seen Dak get paid. I'm not playing football until I do. Is that
well, he told me he would never do that. He said, I'm not holding out. I'm showing up. I'm playing football. Under no circumstances would I ever hold out for money and not play. That's what he said.
Well, I'm going to tell you what. That's bad for negotiations, Stephen.
He should never told him.
Hell no. If I'm Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones, I'm saying we can do whatever we want. We got to pay him eventually, but he's always going to show up. And now, you want your team to feel that. You want your team to believe that. But it's about your bag, right? It's about business. And he's shown us in the first 3 years that he is and can be a difference maker, but can he be that difference maker? Can he be the difference maker? And that comes along with having a defense that finishes football games in important times. And they haven't done that in his 3 years there.
Transitioning back to free agency, do you feel Derrick Henry could do that for the Baltimore Ravens?
Not like you do. I don't know why. Like, when we did First Take, you were just, this is the move. This is what's going to do it.
I believe in them.
Stephen A., they were the #1 rushing team last year.
Right.
Todd Monken forgot that.
I know.
It's not whether or not they can be the same thing. It's whether or not you could stay authentically yourself when the fire and the heat rise. Right?
Have you seen anything in Derrick Henry that says he can't?
It's not Derrick Henry. I ain't seen Todd Monken do it.
Okay.
I ain't seen Lamar Jackson do it.
They ran the football 16 times in the AFC Championship game. 8 times it was Lamar Jackson. There's no way in hell they're doing that with Derrick Henry in the backfield.
You say that, but they were already the #1 rushing team in the league. And they were that by committee, whether it was Gus Edwards, Keenan Mitchell in the middle of the season, Justice Hill. They gave those dudes opportunities to run the football. You knew you had to take the dive or you had to watch Lamar on the pull. They didn't put that sort of pressure on the Kansas City Chiefs. Remember this. You start the second half, you give it to Gus Edwards, Justin Reed blows him up in the backfield. Then there's a jet sweep to Zay Flowers, which is tackled by Trent McDuffie. After that, Todd Monken was like, hell no, I ain't running it ever again.
Wow.
Why not? Yeah. Why not be physical with the team that showed you the week before against Buffalo? They can't stop the run. And so the only thing I could say that excites me about the Derrick Henry move is this. Maybe because he's a future Hall of Famer, you realize you got to get him the ball. And the other thing for me is during the season, if we get 3rd and 2, we don't have to run our franchise quarterback. We can turn around, hand the ball off to Derrick Henry, and know that he's our best short yardage option, not our franchise quarterback who's the 2-time MVP.
How concerned are you about the Buffalo Bills? We talk so much about Josh Allen, and he was supposed to be the heir apparent to Patrick Mahomes, but we look at Josh Allen right now. You lost Gabe Davis. We know Stephon Diggs wasn't happy at the end of the season. So who knows what that
window's
situation
closed on this team.
You think the window's closed?
Window's closed on this team. It has to be a new iteration of the Buffalo Bills. Think about the team they had. Tre'Davious White, Jordan Poyer, Micah Hyde. All of those guys were linchpins into what they were. Oftentimes, we pointed to what Josh Allen could do, but we forget what Leslie Frazier was to this defense. We always go back to the 13 seconds Tyreek Hill play late in the game.
That was not his shining moment.
That was not his shining moment. Right. But when you look at what this defense was and you look at the totality of the year, this defense was really good. They put Josh Allen in position to make those plays. And now he's shown up in the playoffs, but I believe last year you have Kansas City at its weakest as we've seen it with Patrick Mahomes. You have them in Buffalo at Orchard Park.
Can't finish them.
And you can't finish it? When will you get that chance again? Not to mention, as you just said, the Baltimore Ravens got better. The Baltimore Ravens are a defense you didn't want to see.
Right.
Now, they have a new coordinator, but you think about the Roquan Smiths and the Kyle Hamiltons and the Marlon Humphreys, those guys are still there. And so I feel like the Buffalo Bills, we were waiting to win a Super Bowl after that epic divisional game against the Kansas City Chiefs, are no longer.
So there we look at the AFC North because we got 4 teams. Russell Wilson has arrived in Pittsburgh. They got weapons.
I'm supposed to be happy?
You should be.
I'm supposed to be happy?
Anything's better than Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph. I mean, I'm happy about it. Listen.
You're the worst Pittsburgh Steelers fan in the history of Pittsburgh Steelers fans. You be ready to jump ship.
That's not true.
You be talking bad about them as soon as you're ready.
Excuse me. At least I don't go visit with Mike Tomlin, sit him down on the pivot, and then go back and say, look, they ain't getting it done.
I got to do my job.
So do I. So do I. That's my point. But when you look at Cleveland, Cincinnati, and Baltimore, along with Pittsburgh, we know what those teams bring. But who can be a threat to Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, I think it's the Baltimore Ravens, one, right? You look at what the Baltimore Ravens are. Stephen A., we talk about the way that first half went, but we don't talk about L'Jarius Sneed making back-to-back huge plays to keep him out of the end zone. One was tackling Zay Flowers in the open field, and then he punches the football out. Right? The defense getting the pick late in the game on the pass to Isaiah Likely. Like, that team is in that game. They're right there. The Baltimore Ravens are not a team that has to have a complete overhaul to win. It's Lamar Jackson. In these moments, you got to show up like a 2-time MVP supposed to. Todd Monken, you can't swallow your playbook.
That's right.
When it's time. And so I think that that's obviously a team that's in it. I don't believe the Buffalo Bills are there. But you mean to tell me you don't think the Cincinnati Bengals with a healthy Joe Burrow?
I'm not counting out Joe Burrow, but I don't like the fact that they lost T. Higgins.
You know, Joe Burrow, I saw him this weekend at the fight.
Okay.
And he was talking about T. Higgins. And you could see it on his face when he was talking about how much he wanted him to be there, that was important to him. He understands. Listen, he comes from LSU, Stephen A., where he had all them boys. Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Jamar Chase. He understands what it is to be able to distribute the ball. He obviously wants Jamar there. He knows Jamar has to be taken care of. But he made a point to me to talk about T. Higgins. He made it a point to say how important he is, how much he wanted to get that done. And I think that's huge. I think that changes that team dramatically from the sense of, I only got one of them to worry about. I can double Jamar, and now T. Higgins doesn't have an opportunity to beat man coverage. So I do believe that's huge. But you probably, just like I do, man, Joe Burrow is like that.
He's special.
Joe Burrow understands it.
Last question on all of this in regards to the NFL. I'm looking at the AFC West. Russell Wilson's gone. Sean Payton, you better have a plan, because the way he treated Russell Wilson. And listen, I understand, but he shouldn't have done it. He shouldn't have done it.
I wouldn't. If I'm a quarterback and I'm worth anything, I've accomplished anything, I do not go play for him.
Because
he's behaving like a man that is still mourning his lover.
Because he doesn't have Drew Brees.
Because he doesn't have Drew Brees. Right? That's who he wants. He wants that relationship. He wants that sort of conversation. He never treated Drew Brees the way he treated Russell Wilson. And for all that you think Russell Wilson is no longer as a player, what he showed us last year, he's class. He has class. He's a professional.
Let me challenge you on that before we move on to you. Here's how I did it, and I differed with you on that. I wasn't saying you were wrong about what he was saying about Sean Payton's behavior, because there's no excuse for it. You can't do that. The flip side to it, however, is this. You hear these stories about Russell Wilson. Multiple parking spaces, side entrances, your own office, being a prima donna, distant and separate and apart from your team. Sean Payton walks in there. Day one of the press conference, he said those days are over. So clearly he was told and informed about this. Plus he was working for Fox Television before he took that Denver Bronco job. So he was hearing all of this from the Jay Glazers of the world and others. So he's hearing all of this. Then you look at Nathaniel Hackett, who obviously he threw under the bus and disrespected. It was a contemporary. But I said to myself, Sean Payton's been around for almost 40 years in the NFL. He's never done that. Why would he do this? Is it possible that Nathaniel Hackett, he thought, violated the code that was established in the NFL of not letting these kind of things happen, and he was so appalled by it that's why he acted that way? What do you say to all of that?
Well, I say this, though. You got to remember, Nathaniel Hackett was coming from being the offensive coordinator with Aaron Rodgers.
That's right.
So he probably had a relationship with Aaron Rodgers that he knew he could give Aaron that space.
Right.
And the things that made Aaron comfortable, he wanted Aaron to have those. And I believe he brought those in to Russell Wilson. And also, let's not forget, Nathaniel Hackett was hired in order to get Aaron Rodgers there. Right. They thought they would make that trade. They settled with Russell Wilson. But I believe 100% what you said. He was told of the things that Russell Wilson was doing.
Right.
He understood he had a Drew Brees, and Drew Brees was someone that he didn't allow to do those things. And he wanted to set the tone immediately, right? He wanted to say it in the press conference, walk in the building and doing it. And that's fine. But if a man, right, Stephen A., if I'm coming on First Take and you've heard all of these things about me, and as soon as you see me, you say, look, RC, this is the way this show is run. This is how you fit in. And from the day I walk on set, I do what you ask me to do. Yes, I behave in a professional manner as you ask me to. You may not ever like me or champion me or think I should be the guy on the show, but you'd respect me.
Right. And he should have respected Wilson. He showed no respect. Let me transition to you, because I've been waiting to talk to you for a while about you. Can't say how proud enough about how proud I am of you and all that you've accomplished. First of all, I'm incredibly ecstatic. You were talking to me during the negotiations with ESPN. I was like, don't leave. Damn it, don't leave. I want my boy here with me.
And by the way, too, I just want to tell you, I appreciate that more than you know. You know, in this business, you don't necessarily always have people who are for you. And you having set the tone as the OG for all of us, it means a lot when you're reaching out. It means a lot when you'll be a voice, because so many times people don't want to see everybody come up. No. And since I've been here, you've been that for me, so I do want to say thank you.
Man, please, I appreciate you, my brother. You know I love you and I respect the hell out of you. I want to know, as you sit here today and you look at where you are, you've re-signed with ESPN, got the Pivot podcast, it's big time. We all watch it with you and Channing and Fred Taylor. Y'all do a phenomenal job. So proud of y'all for that. You was hosting Inside the NFL. You do so many different things for ESPN. How are you feeling about you and where you are at this moment in time? Because you see a lot of videos, you talk a lot about your life, and you give a lot of advice and you provide a lot of perspective. But where are you really at right now? You know what?
I feel good. I'm a lot less tired than I was during the season. Like, during the season taught me a lot, Stephen A., because, you know, when I look at you, you're someone. Like in football, you have people you model your game after because you're like, okay, these are some of the things I could do. I look at you and I try to take from what you've done and the hard work you've put in, how can I implement some of these things to continue to grow in this business? Because I come from a football background. And so in watching, I was like, man, he just grinds. Like, he'll do every show, he'll work. And so I kind of took that on. But this year I had to learn, Stephen, I got to take care of myself too. You know, like hopping on red eyes and hopping on jets and then going to see my son play, like it did wear me down. And in some of that getting worn down, you have less tolerance for people. And if you're working hard, right, and I'm traveling, then I'm expecting everybody who's around the building, who's communicating with me, to be the same way. And so I had to learn, like, to deal with that and deal with that with grace. But I feel good about where I am. But in negotiations, you know how it is. Like, you realize, oh, so you still think that. So I still have to disprove that. I still have to work harder to show you I deserve this. And so it was great. I think I've come a long way, and I'm really blessed to be here, and I'm excited to work forward. But there's still so much more I want to accomplish and so much more I want to do. But the thing I've learned, you know, watching you, watching other people who are great at this job, is to do things I'm passionate about. Don't let people just try to put me in a box and say, this is who you are, this is what you have to do. Because when you're passionate about something, it shows. When I sit down on your show, the energy shows because I'm in a place of comfort, a place I want to be. And I want to do more things that bring that out of me.
You're absolutely right. And I'll tell you this much, too. First of all, in returning the favor, reciprocating, you've taught me a lot, too. And you've helped me immensely because you used to get on me about my health all the time. You saw me. You saw how fat. I mean, I look at my face now from a year ago. I'm like, I look like a Pillsbury Doughboy. I was like, what the hell is going on here? You know, I was sitting there eating cereal, eating hot dog. You know, you were like, what the hell are you doing? Stephen A., you got to get it together.
You're going to kill yourself.
You're going to kill yourself. And that's when I was running and on the grind like that. And I had to take care of myself, especially after COVID, looking at the travel schedule and all. I like, yo, ain't no wealth without health.
Yep.
You got to take care of yourself. So I totally feel you on that. But I will throw this your way. When I watched you and I talked, and we don't have to get into all the particulars, but when I watched you and I talked, the one piece of advice that I wanted to give you, and we talked about it a little bit, but I'll let you be because by that time the momentum was strong. You got to leave it alone. That's your business. But I was saying to myself, it don't matter how great you are. It don't matter how productive you are. When you go to a negotiating table, they are always going to try to get the most.
You told me that.
For the least.
You told me that.
So to me, it's like, it's me, it's you, and it's everybody in between. I don't give a damn what network it is. I don't give a damn what business it is. I've never seen, in my lifetime, I've never seen anybody roll up on me at the negotiating table. You know what? You're phenomenal. And you deserve this here.
Yeah.
It has always been a fight. And so I'm wondering, when I saw you speaking, was it that fight?
Yeah.
Or was it the fatigue as well that you just alluded to?
So it wasn't the fatigue because that's where I lock in. You know, that's part of what I'm doing this offseason, why I went back, trained, and started to do those things. And I said it this morning on a post. It's like when Apollo took Rocky back to the hood, right? Remember he walked in and all them brothers was looking at him?
That's right.
Like sometimes you got to remember where you come from. And don't get me wrong, man, you know, one of the things that I'll mention, you know, I can say it out loud because it's you, is like when you share with me some of the business moves you're making or some of the things you want, because I'm like, oh, that means he sees me as somebody who he's trying to help move forward in the business.
That's exactly
that
what
he
it is.
thinks I'm worthy of listening to these certain things. So I appreciate that. And so for me, it wasn't the fatigue, but it was setting a goal, right, of effort, of work, of production, of success, accomplishing that goal, and now being able to sit at the table and say those things. I didn't mind that it was still a negotiation because I understand what side they're coming from. But this is the first time I felt like I could sit in my chair, poke my chest out, and say, here is what I've done. Here are the numbers. Here's the amount of work. Here's what happens when I'm on each show. Here's how I make everybody better. And I know that they're not tapped into everything. Here's the segment I produced on this show. Here's what I told them I'd do to help this show. And so I was able to communicate all of those things. And the one thing I wanted to stand on was if I decided to come back, if I signed a deal, I wanted to walk into work and feel respected, not loved. I didn't even care about valued. I wanted to be respected. And so that's why it took so long to get it done, because I wanted to feel that.
Well, you do understand that when it comes to you, that might be one of the silliest things you ever said, because it is impossible to be around you and not respect you. It's impossible. I mean, it's impossible to not know that you contribute to making all of us better. Anybody that works with you know that it's a better production when you're on than when you are not. That's a given. And I ask this question now because as you sit up here and you move forward with your career and you move forward with the podcast and other things, what are you enjoying the most? What do you find yourself wanting to do down the line? Because now we saw you as an NFL analyst, and we know how brilliant you are at that, and you're a Super Bowl champion, you're very knowledgeable about your sport. But we've seen you host as well, we see that you can do that. We've seen you be a pundit, we know you can do that. We've seen you damn near give motivational pep talk, whether it's Swagoo on Get Up or playmaker Michael Irvin on First Take with me last year. All of this other stuff. I mean, there's nothing. But again, you talked about enjoyment. So what is it now at this point in time in your life that you see and you would classify as enjoyable to you?
The first thing you said, though, is the pivot, right? And I say that because ownership is important, Stephen A., right? The ability to control what I create is important. But also, when I got in this business as an analyst, I remember my first couple years, I didn't show that personality. I didn't have a lot of fun because I was like, everybody got to know how smart I am. I have to prove to people that I have a level of intelligence that says it's warranted to have me on this desk. And then eventually I moved into the fact, I can just relax and be myself. I work hard, I study. But when you're sitting down with people, to sit down with you at your house, and to have a Stephen A. Smith be comfortable enough to share some of the things you share and opened up, and to have people say to me, man, watching Stephen A. on First Take, I really didn't know about dude, but seeing him on your show and the way that he opened up, he's a cool cat. And I was like, well, I've been telling y'all that. But to be able to give people that platform, to be able to create that. So I want to do more of that and step outside of the sports realm, step outside of just the entertainment realm. I want to continue to inspire people. I want to continue to educate people. And I don't think it always has to be those who are extremely successful. I believe there are more stories that we could tell, and I want to reach out and do that. And it's from the analyst standpoint, Stephen A., I love being an analyst. And I'm going to be honest to you, for me.
So do I.
Yeah, for me, it's the competitiveness in it.
Yeah.
Right? I don't, and this is no disrespect to anybody, I always want to be on the A team. If I'm sitting on First Take and it's you and it's Shannon, I understand what it is. It's go time. Right? I'm not going to be the dude where they like, Shannon killed it, Stephen A. killed it, oh, we don't know if we can have RC back with them. With them, he kind of got left behind. And then if I'm on the air and it's not the A team, I want everybody to know it's not the A team. I want everybody to know that that dude's different than the people he's sitting with. And so I love that. But just from my standpoint, I want to tell the stories I want to tell. I want to do the things that are important to me that I feel like impact people in whatever way that is.
But how are you working that out? Because listen to what you just said. I know how highly competitive you are. So am I. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
First Take, y'all come. I'm like, it's Stephen A. against the world. Let's go. You say, by the way, the only reason you don't have your own day because you're too damn busy. If it was just your schedule, that's your fault. You're supposed to have your own day. I have no problem with that. But I look at it and I say, okay, on one hand, you're interviewing somebody and you provide a lot of teachable moments, a lot of inspirational moments. On another hand, we'll see you on First Take, NFL Live, Get Up, or whatever. You got to call it like you see it. And you slicing and dicing and dissecting somebody that ain't going to absorb it like it's motivational. How challenging has that become for you because you have the pivot, and the pivot seems to be not opposite, but it seems to be a different position than the commentary that you provide throughout the week?
It's so crazy you asked that question. I saw a guy this weekend at the fight who we had on the show. And it was the off season. It was before this season. I was really looking forward to this person having a great season. I thought they would have a great season.
And they didn't.
And they didn't. And so once the off season came and during the season, I had to criticize them. I had to give an unbiased opinion, even though I liked the person. I saw him at the fight. I was excited to see him. I went to shake his hand. He's like, "What's up, RC?" and walks past me.
Wow.
And that was the first time it hit me, Stephen A., is that when they sit down with you in those moments and you do provide advice or you do provide a certain space, it builds a relationship and a friendship or just an acquaintanceship that they feel, okay, we have some sort of synergy. And now when I'm doing that job in the way that I do it, and I'm being honest and I'm unashamed to be myself and to speak what I see on film, they don't always take that as that's just another analyst. That's the dude that I gave an hour and a half of my free time in the off season to sit with. That's the dude that chopped it up with me. That's the dude that I text messaged to get this done. And now you're gonna talk about me like that. That was, I'll be honest, that was the first time I ever really evaluated, like, man, am I going about this in the wrong way? That was difficult.
I was getting ready to ask you how you felt and what did you do when he stepped past you like that? What did you do?
Yeah, like I let him go. Like, what am I going to say? Because the other thing I don't want to do is for me to assume that they have a feeling. And it's not, right? Now I walk up on them and now I become that guy that's sensitive to how people speak to me, to thinking that people, and they're like, oh, he thinks that we have to act a certain way. So I didn't want to do that, but it immediately brought me back to things I'd said about it. And it had me going through the memory banks of, okay, did you ever get disrespectful? Did you ever call for their job? And it was all those things that I was running through. And you know how it is. Sometimes, like, people just feel betrayed.
Oh, yeah, I go through it all the time.
People feel like we had a relationship where that shouldn't be it. And you probably didn't see it. I know you're extremely busy. I put out a tweet this weekend. And the tweet said, if I'm on ESPN, I am doing a job. I said, nothing that I say there is personal. It's about watching the film and doing my best to bring that to you in an entertaining way.
But you forgot what I told you. If you remember, We spoke about it earlier on. This is a few years ago.
Okay.
And you asked me, you literally asked me, how do you go talk to these cats when you talk about them this way? And I said to you, A, it's never personal, unless I say so. You know, there's a couple of people, the person, I'll let them know beforehand. I don't like you.
Dak Prescott.
You know what I'm saying? Well, that's him yesterday. I don't dislike him. I just think that was an idiotic thing for him to do. But that's neither here nor there. But then I've said, this is what I've said. Your personal life is your business.
Yep.
It is your story to tell. I will never violate that. As long as you stay out of the police blotters, I got nothing to say. It's none of my business. But what you do on the field or court of play in front of the masses, I have to call it like I see it, because if I don't, the credibility is in question, and I can't do what you might need me to do down the road. I told you that years ago. And to me, as long as you make sure that, whether they like you or dislike you, you can't worry about it, because they're essentially, the equivalent of what they're asking you to do is you asking them not to catch a touchdown pass or make a tackle or hit a jump shot or make a dunk or something. I'm not asking you not to do your job. Don't ask me not to do mine. That's me.
No, I totally agree with you, but it was still that reality check for me, because you have to remember I played. Yeah. Right? And so in playing, I do feel sometimes there's something that's expected from us is different. It's almost like the black community.
That's right.
Right? Oh, yes. So anytime we criticize a black player's actual play, we selling out. We're Uncle Tom, we're Coon. And it's like, no, you didn't watch the film?
That's right.
We're talking about the film, not the person. And so I did have to go back to that conversation, because I remember it, and say to myself, I'm just talking about what's on the film. The way that they take it is their own personal story. It's what they're dealing with. It's what they're going through, not what I've done, because I didn't get disrespectful. I didn't step out of line. But I do believe that every now and then we have to check ourselves, because as you continue to rise to success in media, I don't ever want to get drunk off of the platform. I don't ever want to forget what it was like coming in, working on First Take back in the day when you guys would give me a segment, or when you would let me come on as a player, how much I wanted to do this job then, how much I would have given anything to be in this position I'm in now, and the way I want to do this job.
So with all of that being said, as we sit here right now and you recognize all of the nuances that come with where you were compared to where you are now, as we move forward, as Ryan Clark moves forward, as we move forward watching him and enjoying his work, what are we going to see in the future from you that we haven't seen already?
I think the biggest thing is I'm going to be the exact same. And you know why? Because I ain't never been fake. I talked about this a few times. I remember 2016, 2017, Stephen A. There were times we'd be in production meetings for NFL Live, and they'd ask me things about the protests, or ask me things about what the president had said, and I would tell them what I was going to say, and they'd ask me, are you going to say that on TV? And I'd be like, yes. And they'd say, well, we're not going to put you on. We're not going to ask you that question.
Wow.
Fast forward to 2020, and there are days when I'm not even working. And I'm getting calls, can you pop on Get Up? Can you pop on Live? Your voice is so needed. People are calling me after my hits and saying that's exactly what we needed. We needed that point of view. And I was able to say in that moment, this is the same point of view I had 4 years ago when you wouldn't ask me those questions.
That's right.
And that to me taught me a valuable lesson, that if I'm always myself, if I'm always in a place where I can look in the mirror and respect who I am, then I'm in the right place. The way that people take it is their subjective opinion, and I can never be moved by those.
And you remember, it ain't never happened to me. I ain't never tell you not to say anything.
No.
Not a damn time.
You see what show I didn't say, though. Like, you see what show I didn't say. But it was, though, but it was some of those shows who other people were in control of. And looking back at it, though, I'm so excited and I'm so happy and proud that I didn't bend because of that. That it wasn't like, no, I want to be a star. No, I have to be on TV.
Last question. Is that the advice you would give to former contemporaries in the NFL that now want to get into business? Because what I would say before you answer the question is, everybody can't be RC. Everybody don't study the way you study. Everybody's not as passionate or as conscientious as you are. Everybody isn't as competitive as you are. And damn it, even the ones that are, some don't have the ability to be you. So when you're giving advice moving forward, What do you say to those cats that are former professional athletes, particularly in the NFL, that want to be the next RC?
First thing is do the work, period. If you don't do the work, you can't be great. You're talking about not everybody can be RC. You also got to realize the people you work with, right? I'm on TV with people who wrote for 20 years first, who had to come up out the mud and get in this position, whether they played ball or not. So if I don't come prepared, one, I don't earn their respect. Two, I can't stand in front of the same cameras they're standing in front of. So that's the first thing. My second thing would be to be authentic, to be yourself. But let's be real, Stephen A. Everybody ain't real.
Right.
Not everybody cares about keeping it 100.
We deal with it
right?
every day.
There are dudes that will build a character based on something that they believe will make them famous.
Yeah. And make them money.
Make them money. They'll turn this into the WWE. Yeah. Right? It don't matter who I truly am. If that's what people will allow me to do to get on TV, I'll do it. And some of those same people talk about me and you all the time.
That's right.
Right? And if you gotta be that, if that's what's in your heart, I can't give you advice because I don't know that route. So my biggest thing, man, is do the work, be authentic. But every decision you make the decision based on your priorities. My priority was always to be able to respect myself. So I never made a decision that was outside of that.
Not being on brand like you and I have both accused other people of being.
Oh, you know what it is.
My brother.
Appreciate you, my boy.
Love you, my man.
Love you, my boy.
The one and only Ryan Clark right here with Stephen A. Smith. Up next on the Stephen A. Smith Show, my tweets and calls. Actually, your tweets and calls. I mean, you're tweeting, you're calling. I'm the one answering. So they're yours, not mine. Stay right there. We'll be right back. This is Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Ha-ha! All right, everybody, you know what time it is. It's time for Stephen A's Weekly Picks. Now, look, you know I've teamed up with Prize Picks to bring you my favorite sports picks each and every single week. Not sure if y'all know this, but Prize Picks is a skill-based, real money daily fantasy sports game where you select 2 or more players and predict if they will have more or less of their in-game stats. But the part that I really, really love, you can pick and choose from all the sports you watch: basketball, soccer, boxing, and yes, even golf. And if you go to prizepicks.com right now and use promo code SAS, you'll receive a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's right. Go to prizepicks.com, type in my initials, SAS, and get a first-time deposit match up to $100. Today, however, I am not selecting any sports. I'm going a bit off topic and asking, should you sleep in a room that is more or less than 70 degrees? My theory, you should sleep in a room that is more than 70 degrees. Personally, I prefer it at like 73. You see, people want to get under the covers, right? Because you're shivering and you're shivering, and then you get under the covers, right? And then you're feeling a bit warmer, and so you all right. But then the second you wake up and you pull those covers off you, it's like, damn! It's not a good thing. Now, if you get a full night's sleep and that is how you wake up, that's different. But what if you get up there in age a little bit? What if you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? What about that? What happens then is you get up and the little cold air that hits you all of a sudden awakens you, thoroughly interrupting your sleep. And as a result, it's harder to fall back to sleep. That is where the 73 degrees comes in. Because if it's just right, nothing gets interrupted. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you come back, you get right back in bed, you're feeling just as good and as warm as you felt when you got up out the bed. You might say it's just 3 degrees, but damn it, it can be a lot, depending on your habitat. Trust me on that. Trust me on that. We gonna go with more than 70 degrees when you sleeping. 73 is my magic number. What about you? Welcome back to the Stephen A. Smith Show right here over the digital airwaves of YouTube. As I always love to do, I like to get to the tweets and then ultimately the phone calls before I end out the show. So that's exactly what I'm going to do right now, okay? Let's go to the tweets. Show it to me right now because I like to see them fresh. I don't read them beforehand. Let's look at it. At Seiya Posting, S-E-I-Y-A Posting, right, Stephen A.? If all the cereal mascots fought each other, Who would come up on top? Now, you messed with the wrong dude, because I know my cereal, okay? Remember Frosted Flakes back in the day? Okay, the Corn Flakes is a given. The Cheerios is a given. But the Frosted Flakes, yeah, I used to eat those. And then I graduated to Fruit Loops. And then I graduated to Honeycombs. Then I graduated to Sugar Corn Pops, okay? And last but not least, the creme de la creme, baby, Captain Crunch and Crunch Berries. It's me you talking to. Now, obviously, I had to tail back from that a little bit because I got a little older, all right? I was skinny, fat, pot belly. It was nasty and all that stuff. I had to use some of that stuff, lose some of that stuff, get myself in shape. But I know my cereal, and I still have them in the pantry, and I still make sure that I treat myself every now and then. I just went from eating a bowl of cereal at least every 6 hours to eating a bowl of cereal like every 6 months. But neither here nor there. Let's get right to it, because I'm going to answer your question. I just had to spend some moments on that. I'm just looking at this right now, and I don't see my Crunch Berries, okay? I don't see any of this, but I will tell you this. Captain Crunch, you see it right there. I'm going to have to go with Captain Crunch. It's just delicious. I mean, this is the bad part about this being brought up. As I'm talking about this right now, I swear to God, I want to eat a bowl of cereal. I want to eat a bowl of cereal. I want some damn Captain Crunch. I was disciplined and it wasn't on my mind, and y'all supposed to be looking out for me, and now you brought this up, and I know I'm going to eat a bowl of cereal today. I know it, because I can't help it. It's the one addiction I had. Well, not the one addiction, but an addiction. Let's go to the next one. Let's get this off the screen. At 100 Thieves, which map are you choosing for a 1 versus 1? Nuketown or Rust? It's Call of Duty. Y'all didn't think I knew that, did y'all? It's Call of Duty, baby. I know this, all right? I'm going to tell you this. Rust. That's what I like. You understand? It just looked like a town that's hardcore, that's ready to handle business, ready to handle things, used to adversity and adverse circumstances, overcoming the odds and stuff like that. This looked like these kids going to some schoolhouse. I like the Rust look. I like that. That's what I'm going with. Show me the next one, please. At Payne, what is it? TUPLSU. I don't know how to pronounce some of these damn Twitter handles. Seriously, y'all need to do a damn better job of this stuff. Seriously. But I'm going to roll with it right now. Paint up LSU. Okay, that's an L. Got it. Stephen A., who you got in a 1 versus 1? Woody or Buzz? I'm going to go to this right here. Look at this. It's a cowboy look, legs skinnier than mine, just a little hat on. First of all, anything that look like a cowboy hat, I'm gonna knock you down. All right? Standing on foot, it look like you're trying to model. Got some spurs on the boots, I get that. But this is look at this costume right here. And got the mask on, I mean, got the shield on over your face and the whole bit. Go, Buzz. Right there. That's what I'm gonna do. Next one, please, let me get it. At Den of Nerds. Right, Stephen A., one of the greatest debates in all of fandom. Who you got, Superman or Goku? Is that how you pronounce it, Goku? See, he got some muscles, and I get all that. I'm not feeling the costume. I understand he looked like he got a mean streak in him and the whole bit, but he ain't made of steel. That's Superman. And last time I checked, does he possess kryptonite? I don't know. I'm a roll with Superman. And by the way, Superman is for the good. He don't have this mean mug on him like Goku does. He's trying to save the human race. He's trying to protect it. You understand? He's the man of steel. I'm gonna go with Superman on this. Before I get on out of here, let me get to some phone calls before I end the show today, okay? Right here on the Stephen A. Smith Show over the digital airwaves of YouTube. Let's go to Wesley in Columbus. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Wesley? How are you? Talk to me.
What's up, Stephen A?
What's up?
I'm a big Eagles fan. We got some big moves coming this year. We got Saquon talking about maybe getting Justin Simmons. Do you think we need to add any more? Are you excited for us this year? How do you think?
I need you to buffer your secondary. All right, you damn near couldn't stop a cold, particularly the last 7 weeks of the season. People were throwing the football all over the place on y'all. Y'all got to remedy that. I love what you got offensively. You got Saquon Barkley, you got A.J. Brown, you got Devontae Smith, you got Dallas Goedert. You got an offensive line that's capable of protecting Jalen Hurts, and it's really going to come down to Jalen Hurts. The real question you should have been asking me is, doesn't this season come down to Jalen Hurts? Because let me tell you something right now. I believe if the Philadelphia Eagles fold in any way, okay, considering the weapons that they've added, either Jalen Hurts is going to take a dip in the eyes of the public because this will be a second consecutive season that he's tailed off after being the top 2 candidate for league MVP honors a couple of years ago when they went to the Super Bowl, or last year when they went to the Super Bowl. I think the other thing is Nick Sirianni. At some point in time, how many weapons is Howie Roseman supposed to get you before you do something right with it? Like close the deal. And when you lose both coordinators and you nosedive the way they did over the last 6-7 weeks of the season, that's about ultimately the coordinators deserving the credit for the success you had the year before as opposed to you. You see, usually you see coordinators go elsewhere and they can't achieve anything. You don't see the head coach that was at the helm nosedive because he doesn't have those coordinators anymore. But that's what happened to Nick Sirianni. And so to me, he's going to be on the clock. With Saquon coming out of the backfield with the other weapons that they have available to them, they got to do something right, my brother. They got to do something right. Appreciate the call, man. Thank you so much, Wesley. Let's go to Jack in North Carolina. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Jack? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Talk to me. What's up?
Stephen A., I want to know what those damn Cowboys are doing at running back. I mean, are you guys throwing Deuce Vaughn back there? I heard Trey Lance maybe. I mean, we know Dak's not getting it done come playoff time, so I just want to know the answer there.
Well, let me say this to you. First of all, Trey Lance is your backup quarterback. He ain't going to get no time because Dak Prescott about to get a bag, and they're going to make sure they feed him. What I would tell you is you lose Tony Pollard, even though he wasn't a bell cow and every down back, didn't have the physicality available to him to be that effective in that regard. I believe that the Dallas Cowboys should have gone all out to get Derrick Henry. I think they made a colossal mistake. If you have Derrick Henry, he takes pressure off of Dak Prescott. You take pressure off of Dak Prescott, then your playoff aspirations are not solely in his hands, where you got to worry about him cracking under pressure because you know with pressure it breaks pipes, right? Palms get sweaty, asses get tight. That's what happened with Dak Prescott, if we're being honest about it. You got to make sure that's not a situation that can reoccur. And you get Derrick Henry, I think that would have helped them. You also need an additional offensive tackle. You need size at the linebacker spot. There's no question about that with the Dallas Cowboys. Those are the two things that you need other than a running back, okay? And I don't think they took care of that. So Dallas is going to be in some trouble right now. Philadelphia clearly has to be the favorites to win the NFC East. I think all of us recognize that. But Atlanta's gotten better. Green Bay has gotten better. And, of course, San Francisco, Seattle is still there. Tampa Bay's not going away. There's a few things that's transpiring in the NFC that should have the Dallas Cowboys concerned. I don't think anybody can refute that. Let's go to the last call. Let's go to Dylan in York, Pennsylvania. You're live with Stephen A. What's up, Dylan? How are you?
Yo, what's up? I'm good, Stephen A. How are you doing?
Talk to me.
I just wanted to ask, so Steelers have been pretty aggressive so far in the offseason. They went out and got Wilson. They went out and got Patrick Queen. They just traded away Deontay Johnson yesterday. I just wanted to see where you thought they should go next because they still do have a couple holes to fill. They could either go offensive line, cornerback, safety. Where do you think they should go?
First of all, I'm just thankful they've got something at the quarterback spot. I think they got to go a wide receiver route. They're trying to shore up their cornerback spot to get somebody opposite Joey Porter Jr. They need to do that. The personnel that they have in place, it remains to be seen whether or not that's going to be good enough. But getting Queen up in there and being in a position where you're going to be able to get at the quarterback even more so, I think that's going to help life. Think about it. Queen with T.J. Watt going after a quarterback, with Fitzpatrick in the secondary. I think that's definitely a plus for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Yeah, you could get an additional cornerback, one with size, by the way. I'd appreciate that. But I also think you need to get that number 2 receiver rather than relying on Austin III or somebody else to go along with George Pickens, because the more weapons you have, the more life is going to be made to be easier for Russell Wilson, who's not what he used to be. And Kenny Pickett damn sure ain't what we hoped he would be. So I look at it from that standpoint, and I say the 2 priorities is a sizable cornerback and a wide receiver that's a bona fide number 2. to Pickens being the #1 guy. That is what I think the Steelers should do. Appreciate the call, my brother. Thank you so much, my man. Thank y'all so much for joining the Stephen A. Smith Show. I hope you enjoyed it. Enjoyed me talking about some NFL free agency. Enjoyed my man Ryan Clark right here in studio with his boy. I hope you enjoyed all of that. Keep the love coming, and I'm going to keep on coming. Remember, tomorrow, I'll be airing my one-on-one interview with the one and only Charlemagne the God. You do not want to miss that. Trust me, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going to be talking about community, about things that we need to address. We can't run from these conversations. So I'd be damned if I was going to, and I knew he wouldn't. Make sure you tune in for that. Until next time, everybody, this is Stephen A. signing off. Peace and love.